Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Will County Board meeting for October 19, 2023. I will call this meeting to order. Chair O'Gall will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and introduce the clergy.
Good morning. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This morning our invocation will be given by Rabbi Jenny Steinberg Martinez from the Joliet Unit Jewish Congregation. Good morning, Rabbi, and thank you for coming today.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Let us all pray together. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for our many abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of our health, the need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for service and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you for the tenets of service, charity, and love of our fellows that guide us in all our thoughts and actions. We give thanks today to you, Father, for our county commissioners and their staff and for all the hard work they do for our precious Will County community. And we are asking you that you would graciously grant them the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. We grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. We pray for the agenda set before them today. Please grant them the clarity of mind from your guidance to create those things that would benefit those who live and work in around our beloved Will County. Lastly, but not least, oh Father, I ask that you keep our hearts and minds open to all people, to hear our prayers and grant peace to Israel, the Ukraine, and all of the earth, to resolve the conflict for all parties and turn our hearts to our common humanity and interests of love, to dispel all violence and hate and replace it with acts of kindness and tolerance. Heal our grief, Father, so we may walk together in this moment free. May peaceful resolve and love of our brothers and sisters of all beliefs and backgrounds bring us together with your help. We say this with all the love in our heart, and we join together in a strong amen.
Amen. So before we begin our meeting today, I would like to take a moment to share some information regarding a couple sad events that happened this past weekend. First, the sudden loss of a pillar of our community, the CEO of Silver Cross Hospital, Ruth Colby. Ruth was a strong and impactful leader at Silver Cross, where she elevated the institution and expanded the level of health care services in our community. We also remember Ruth for her community involvement, too many to list. Ruth played a pivotal role in helping the county navigate through COVID, and I'm grateful for her friendship. She was an admirable person and a friend to many. Also this weekend, we had a horrific situation happen in unincorporated Plainfield. A brutal hate crime left a 6-year-old dead, a mother in the hospital, and the community in shock. My heart breaks for Wadia, who lost his life so vitally, his mother and their family. No one and no family certainly should feel afraid of violence against them based on their religion or place of origin. On Wednesday, the Plainfield community came together to provide support and love to the family and each other. The father was there, and I'm going to paraphrase his words. He expected to go to the vigil and be in a room with Muslims only, and was touched by seeing a gymnasium full of community members. An event such as this impacts many, and I want to thank our Sheriff's Department, Coroner's Office, our 911 Center, and the Plainfield Mayor, Fire, and Police Department for their work, and ask that we keep them in our thoughts as well as the family. And at this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Ruth and Wadia. Thank you. And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Balich.
Here.
Trainier.
Present.
Dean Schwatman.
Here.
Van Dyne.
Present.
Frepel.
Here.
Butler.
Here.
Newquist. Here. Richmond.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Diaz.
Winfrey. Here. Coleman. Here. Logan.
Here.
Freeman.
Here.
Revis.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Ortiz.
Here.
Berkowitz. Mueller. Here. Costa.
Here.
O'Gallagher.
Here.
21 members, we have a quorum. I need to make a motion to place on file the certificate of publication.
Motion, Mueller.
Motion by Mueller.
Second, Freeman.
Seconded by Freeman. The previous. By Van Dyne, seconded by
Ortiz?
Ortiz. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the September 21st, 2023 board meeting.
Someone Mitchell.
Motion by Mitchell, seconded by Dean Schlotman,
Previous ballot.
previous by Ballard,
Second, Winfrey.
seconded by Winfrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, will you please acknowledge the elected officials and media present today?
Today we have County Executive Jennifer Bertino-Terrett, County Clerk Lawrence Daly Ferry, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stucco, Treasurer Tim Brophy, and we didn't have media signed in. Thank you.
So we're going to move on to honorary resolutions and proclamations, and I know board member Diaz is coming from work, so I'm going to just do a little switching around while we wait for member Diaz to make it here. So at this time, we are going to have board member Ortiz, who will be recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you, Madam Executive. Whereas Will County is honored to celebrate our diverse Latino communities in observation of Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas Will County is home to vibrant Latino communities whose residents and businesses have made immense contributions to our communities and have helped to preserve and enhance a culture of diversity and strength. And whereas generations of Latinos have helped shape our society, economy, cultures, and values, and the leadership, service, and vision of Latinos continues to enrich all facets of Will County. And whereas the County of Will supports the rights of every individual to experience equality and treatment and values of our diverse population, residents, businesses, and visitors, recognizing that this diversity is one of the community's greatest strengths. And whereas September 15th to October 15th is annually celebrated as National Hispanic Heritage Month to commemorate various Latin American Independence Days and honor the Hispanic community's long-term presence and efforts for equality across our nation. And whereas individuals are encouraged to learn about the Hispanic community and to celebrate this month to recognize the contributions that Hispanic individuals have made to our society. Now therefore be it resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive recognize the significance of Hispanic Heritage Month as an important time to celebrate the significant contribution of Hispanic Americans to the history of the United States.
And I so. Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Trenier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll have board member Balich, who will recognize Italian American.
Good morning, everybody. Anybody that's Italian, you want to come up here and celebrate it with me? We have a lot of Italians in this room. We got one, that's it. Frank, I thought you were Italian. You want me to come up here? Anybody else Italian want to come up here? We all look the same. We're all little. And when you get old, you get fat. Dan, you Italian?
Get up. Come on, Dan. He's the biggest one.
I don't know the other side what nationalities you are because I never figured it out yet.
One more comment.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Come on over here on this side.
Okay, whereas the Italian Heritage Month is celebrated every year in honor well, this is the first year, so it's going to be celebrated every year in honor
recognizing the centuries of achievements, success, and valuable contributions of Italian immigrants and Italian Americans. And whereas Italian American Heritage Month occurs in October to overlap with the federal holiday of Columbus Day, which is celebrated in the second Monday of October. And whereas Italian Heritage Month was first celebrated in 1989 by a special proclamation of both Congress and the President George H.W. Bush. And whereas over 5 million Italians immigrated to the United States between 1820 and 2000, currently there are over 26 million Americans of Italian descent residing in the United States. And whereas this makes Italian Americans the 5th largest ethnic group in our nation, and whereas State Representative Anthony DeLuca introduced House Bill 1199, making October Italian Heritage Month in Illinois to recognize the contributions and influences of Italians on American history, achievement, culture, and innovation. And whereas Governor J.B. Pritzker signed this bill into law, and now therefore be resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive recognize the significance of Italian American Heritage Month and as an important time to celebrate the significant contributions of Italian Americans to history of the United States, and recognize Italian Americans embrace the rich diversity and strength, I can't even say the word. My English ain't too good. Straighten, Will County, Illinois, and the United States of America. And in our township in Homer, Anthony DeLuca came out.
Hold on, while we take a motion, make a motion.
Oh.
And then so motion by
Okay,
Bailey,
motion.
seconded by Pretzel. We'll give the Italians the opportunity.
Oh, there you go.
All the Italians I never knew about. Come on. And not-
Jennifer, you should have
and
walked
not
down here
all-
too.
Not all Italians.
You know, I didn't want to call you out, but I will now. You should have walked. Why don't you come down
I
now?
will. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Now, Anthony DeLuca came out to our township, and we raised the Italian flag in Homer Township with the American flag on October 1st. And Jennifer was going to come, but she had a different engagement, so she couldn't make it. But it's a universal holiday for everybody to celebrate. So God bless everybody that's Italian and Hispanic, because I like them people too. They're Latin, like me.
Did you get your picture? All right. You want to get there? Let's get a picture of all our. Thank you.
Shake a picture. Sir.
Take those.
Yeah, just stand right next to me.
Oh, there's, okay, all right. Okay, sir.
All right. Next, at this time, we're going to be recognizing Agent Orange Awareness Month, Board Member Mueller, and also I know we have members of our VAC here. So you're welcome to come up. Anyone from the VAC is more than welcome to join as well.
Where did you go? Oh, there he is, right here. We had a gentleman I met this morning. Am I on?
Hold on a second, you have people coming down.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming down, everyone. I see Raj coming too. And then I see another gentleman coming too. And you don't have to come down if you don't want to. Good morning, everyone. This morning we are honoring Agent Orange Awareness Month. Whereas the Vietnam War was the longest conflict in American history, in which the government of South Vietnam and its primary ally, the United States, fought against the communist government of North Vietnam and South Vietnamese guerrilla force, commonly known as Viet Cong. And whereas during the Vietnam War, American service persons displayed heroic courage and determination under some of the most difficult circumstances ever encountered in the United States military history. And whereas, according to the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, the United States military developed Agent Orange and other herbicide combinations for use in combat operations to remove trees and dense tropical foliage that provided enemy cover. And whereas thousands of Vietnam War veterans have died due to the use of Agent Orange, and whereas the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and federal law provide for the presumption that certain diseases are a direct result of exposure to Agent Orange and other herbicides used during the Vietnam War, and whereas thousands of veterans still suffer from cancer and other health disorders caused by exposure to Agent Orange, and whereas veterans with health problems caused by Agent Orange live with the knowledge that genetic damage resulting from their exposure to Agent Orange may be handed down through generations. Now therefore let it be resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive jointly acknowledge October as Agent Orange Awareness Month and recognize the service and sacrifices of Vietnam veterans who served valiantly on behalf of the United States, as well as the sacrifices of the families of those same veterans. Be it resolved this 19th day of October, and I so move.
Second. Motion by Mueller, seconded by Coleman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just wanted to say thank you for this today, as I lost my stepfather to this very issue. And I'm going to present this certificate to Mr. Larry Shaver, who is a Vietnam veteran, who's here with us today, and he'd like to say a few words. Thank you, Mr. Shaver. All right. Come out in front here. They'd like to take pictures of all of it. Yeah.
Good morning. I want to say that I am humbled to be here to accept this plaque on behalf of all veterans in Will County and across the country that have suffered and lost because of Agent Orange and other herbicides that were used throughout conflicts and wars around the world. I myself am an Agent Orange survivor so far. Agent Orange and herbicides like it that were used in Vietnam, the 12-mile limit of the waters around Vietnam, Korea, Guam, and several other countries, Thailand. It's not only Vietnam, but just as a note, Vietnam in itself is estimated between 1962 and 1971 that over 300,000 United States service personnel, as well as 400,000 Vietnamese civilians were exposed to Agent Orange. We don't know, have any idea really, how many people has died as a result of Agent Orange directly connected to the Vietnam War and the countries that it was used in. We have to remember that although over 58,000 of my comrades' names are on the wall in Washington, D.C. as giving their ultimate sacrifice for this country in the Vietnam War, we have to remember the tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of Vietnam veterans that have died since the war ended in 1975 to date because of Agent Orange. And it wasn't until in the early 1990s that they even recognized Agent Orange as a presumptive for different types of cancer and other illnesses. We have the same problem now. I want to speak real briefly to the fact that we have the same problems going on in conflicts around the world right now where we're involved. The burn pits, other toxins that are coming, young troops are coming back with various kinds of illnesses directed, that has been tied and directed to the burn pits and so on. So we're thankful that we got the PAC Act through, and a lot of those people are being addressed now, as well as their families and friends. I don't know if anybody in this country that doesn't or hasn't had someone in their family touched with this horrible, horrible thing that our country used in defense of our country. And with that, I want to thank the Will County Executive. I want to thank the board itself for allowing me these few minutes to speak. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
I'm James Giacomi. I lived in Joliet all my life, 73 years old. And I'm an Agent Orange survivor. As a matter of fact, I've been Viola. They had to go into my bladder 3 times to get it out. And the doctor called me the other night, and he told me and the wife that he got it out. Whew. I hope it'll be good. Thank you.
Right out here in front of the podium. Wish I would have known. No, come on up here, Mr. Shaver. Yeah, you do. Sure you do. Hold on. Here, Katie. There.
All right, we got 2 photos here, so everyone start forward. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much. So sorry we haven't gotten together.
Now, Joe got that nice job, you know?
Yeah, well, he's busy all the time.
Honey, clerk, please add phone number to the roll. And our final proclamation today will be recognizing Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Member Diaz.
Thank you very much. Whereas while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains one of the most frequently diagnosed types of non-skin cancer and the second leading cause of cancer deaths among millions in our country. And whereas, unfortunately, as many of us know someone or have family members who have had breast cancer, and whereas, thanks to earlier detection and better treatment, mortality rates for breast cancer have steadily decreased in the last decade. And whereas, knowing what many contributing to breast cancer symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment are most part of its prevention, and whereas having affordable access to screening and early detection for all its essential components in the fight against against breast cancer, and whereas during National Breast Cancer Month, we stand with those with breast cancer. If you have breast cancer or you have a loved one that survives, please feel free to stand up. Thank you for all you've done for your loved ones, and God bless you if you've suffered. My mother-in-law and a dear friend has passed, and I have one suffering through it now, so I'm with you. Whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we stand with those with breast cancer, and whereas we recognize all those who have joined their loved ones in the fight against the battle of breast cancer, as we advocate and research and healthcare providers whose care and hard work gives hope to those living with breast cancer, and whereas by educating ourselves and supporting innovative research, we will improve the quality of life for all Americans affected by breast cancer, and one day defeat this terrible disease. Amen. Now, therefore, be it our resolution that Will County Board and the Will County Executive do hereby proclaim that the month of October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Be it further proclaimed that Will County Board and the Will County Executive Committee encourage all residents to take time out and understand the importance of early treatment and early detection. Thank you very much.
Moved by Diaz, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we welcome people, members of the public to come up for public comment for agenda items only. For agenda items only, you can come up and speak. If you're here for a land use committee, we will have a public hearing for that. So that's something different. You'll have an opportunity during the land use hearing. But for public comments for today's agenda items only, if you can come up over here. For county board rules, you have 3 minutes to speak. When you come up to the podium, if you would please just give us your name.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Dottie. I'm a proud Italian American, by the way. Devoted my career in health and human services to an organization called Easter Seals. I'm here just to comment briefly about my delight that Will County is implementing a 708 board. As many of our contiguous counties have recognized the need for mental health services, for services for those with developmental disabilities, and for those with substance abuse. I want to show you a couple of personalized photos of the work that we do at Easter Seals, and primarily have your attention about children with developmental disabilities, particularly autism, and what we're seeing in the diagnosis of young children with autism and their corresponding mental health needs. This is Elsa. Elsa, by the way, developmental disabilities include diagnoses like spinal bifida, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and genetic conditions that occur at the time of birth, and then other conditions that are identified before the age of 21, and certainly require a look at long-time supports by community service organizations like ours and others that are here today, and of course support by the school districts, and the incredible need for families to address these needs that occur by no fault of their own and that can be very taxing in a different lifestyle than many of us enjoy. This is Alyssa. She comes to the Easter Seals Adaptive Seating Clinic. She's also a student at United Cerebral Palsy. This is Georgia and Charles. Georgia and Charles are twins. They're one of a group of 100 children that we diagnosed this past year at Easter Seals with autism spectrum disorder. And so it's important that we have the early diagnosis and prepare these children for school and to be able to wrap around supports for them and their families. This is Liam. You wouldn't know necessarily anything different about Liam except his little hairdo here. So Liam has an intellectual disability. This is a family, a mom that has 3 children, triplets on the autism spectrum disorder. And let me tell you just a little bit about the corresponding mental health conditions that come with autism. Anxiety disorders, mood disorders, adjustment disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, traumatic stress syndrome, and global developmental types of delays, OCD, sleep disorders, a number of things that we're finding. So we're not asking that the 708 board and the funds that might come from our publics to help address this and other needs that you'll hear about replace any of the existing resources that are already available to support these groups of people and their needs, but to add to all the gaps in services that occur. At Easter Seals, we're particularly concerned about the support of caregivers As you can imagine, when you're in a family caring for a loved one,
I'm going to need you to wrap up soon. You just did a
caring for a
final thought.
loved
Thank you.
one, your mental health is very important. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I appreciate it so much. Go that way.
Good morning. Paul Larson with Stepping Stones, and I want to let you know how much I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. Am I coming through? About the unmet need for substance use and mental health disorder treatment services. The need that some of you may be familiar with, or you all may be familiar with, the need that was established by the Will County MAP Collaborative, which we participate in. Stepping Stones has been providing substance use services in Joliet for over 50 years. We're a private, not-for-profit organization. Many of the people who come to us for service have little or no ability to pay. The mission is to provide those services regardless of the person's ability to pay. When people come to us, they're usually in a crisis in many areas of their lives. They've got medical issues that have been caused by substance use, or maybe they haven't, but they've not been attending to those. They have legal problems. They have dangerous relationships with families. And as I had mentioned, most are unemployed. Last year, we served 500 people. Those 500 people were a third of the number of people who contacted us for services. Funding through the 708 Board of Health expand access to these services by helping us pay for expansion facilities and also to operate the facilities. The cost of operating those programs has gone through the roof, as many of you know. We're all experiencing the effects of the inflation. So again, I thank you for your consideration of this with the 708 Board. It would help tremendously the people we serve and for us. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tina Mackey. I represent NAMI Will Grundy, which is the local affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We provide peer support and education for individuals struggling with mental health conditions and their families. Conservatively, 1 in 5 persons over 18 years old will struggle with in any given year with a mental health condition or a diagnosis of mental illness. In Will County, this roughly translates into about 100,000 people. 1 in 6 people under 18 years old, or about 26,000 young people, will face those similar challenges. 50% of young people 8 to 15 years old will not reach out for support. They will not get the help they need. The barriers to getting these support services include education and awareness, the cost, availability, and transportation. Perhaps most of all, the greatest barrier to support and services is the stigma that's still associated with the diagnosis of mental health illness in our communities. The Will County MAP Collaborative states that behavioral health is a key area of need in Will County. The MAP Collaborative asked the question of 12th graders in Will County, during the past 12 months, did you ever feel so sad or hopeless every day for 2 weeks or more in a row that it stopped you from doing your usual activities? 38% of these 12th graders said yes. 38%. If you're like me and you think to yourself, well, the pandemic had a great impact on that answer, in 2018, 35% of those 8th graders said yes. So a significant population of those young people that are struggling. 12% also said that they have seriously considered suicide in the last year. The Will County MAP Collaborative, the Ascension St. Joe's Hospital Community Assessment, and the Silver Cross Hospital Community Assessment all identify behavioral health as one of the top 4 priorities for need for improvement in the provision of services since 2016. By any measure, the available services in Will County are inadequate. But most importantly, the voters, your constituents, have said that not only do they see the need for improved services, but they also want to see the reduction of stigma in Will County too. And they're willing to pay for it. So we appreciate your time this morning and would greatly appreciate your support of the 708 levy. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Fahim. I am a clinical psychotherapist. I'm also a Will County Satellite Board member. I am a Will County resident, a Plainfield resident, and a very disappointed mental health clinician. I work with children, adults, and families. I diagnose and treat mental health disorders. And I have been pretty alone for the past 4 years, trying to help as many people as I can, but unfortunately not having the bandwidth nor the funds to hire on additional clinicians. We face a huge shortage of mental health clinicians in Illinois, especially in our communities. People can't work at the rate that that we're providing them because the cost of living has gone up so much. So we've been struggling to hire mental health clinicians for the past 4 years. Due to just not having the funds for it. We've been struggling to provide help to support communities in our areas due to not having funds for it. I had a mom call me a couple weeks ago. Her 5-year-old child was raped by her uncle. The uncle was babysitting the 5-year-old while mom worked multiple jobs to provide for their family. I have to tell her, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You're going to have to be on a 6-month to 12-month wait list to get help for your child. I had a 17-year-old call me. A 17-year-old called me 12 months ago, actually, January of this year, saying I'm very depressed, I'm suicidal, I'm cutting myself, I need help. She was very brave for calling me and trying to get help, but I have to tell her, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Call back in 6 to 12 months. I called her back in 6 months. She no longer picked up her phone. She was no longer alive to do so. I had a 60-year-old U.S. Army war veteran call me. I need help. I'm having PTSD, I'm having flashbacks. I can't sleep. I can't be a grandfather to my grandchildren. I can't be a husband to my wife. I can't be a father to my own children. I can't come for, Easter Sunday. I can't come for Christmas. I can't be around too many loud sounds. I need help. This is someone who served our country, and I have to tell him, I'm sorry, I can't serve you. Imagine that. He went and served all of us. He protected all of us, and we can't help him. We can, but we continuously vote not to help those that are trying to help those in the community. So I want you to think of these stories. When you're thinking of why we're asking for so much help, when you're thinking of why this number might be too high, we can't put a cost on the help of our community.
No, we need you to wrap up, please.
I'm a Plainfield resident. We're currently recovering from a brutal stabbing and murder of a 6-year-old child by someone who experienced a psychotic break while listening to the media and didn't know where to go for help. Just thought to release his anger on the child he was living with and loved. So please think of these things when you're thinking of why we're asking for support, and please support mental health in Will County. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Kim Hutchins from Cornerstone Services. 54 years ago, Cornerstone started out its existence as the Will County Shelter Workshop, working with people with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities. These were citizens of Will County at that time. 30 years ago, Cornerstone saw the need for providing mental health services in this community as well. In the time since, our services touch everywhere from Shorewood to Peatone, Romeoville to Wilmington, and all the communities in the city. The development of the 708 board by this county shows the commitment of the citizens of this county to invest in services for people with intellectual developmental disabilities and for people with mental illness. But as we've heard, stabilizing our workforce is the crisis, is the critical need for us at this time. We have committed people who want to do this work, but we just don't have enough of them. We need to be able to fund for more services, expand services. When somebody calls for help, we should be able to help them, not in 6 months, but that day, maybe the day after. So this levy will go a long way to help not only Cornerstone, but all of these agencies that you are hearing from today to do this very important work. Historically, these positions have been underpaid, and the pandemic has shown the need for these services more than ever. Services from staff working in group homes, working with people with intellectual disabilities to help them live and work in our community, and also licensed therapists. We are really running a critical shortage of these professionals in our community at this time. So again, thank you for supporting the 708 board, and thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Stein. I am the Director of Community Mental Health Services at Trinity Services. Trinity is a nonprofit located in Will County. We've been there since the 1950s, primarily serving people with intellectual disabilities and mental health issues. My department focuses on community support services, our counseling centers, our school-based mental health, global crisis teams, suicide prevention, living rooms, diagnostic testing, homeless supports, all in Will County. As we've heard, there's a huge need to address some of the gaps in our system. Staffing is a main one. We would like to increase psychiatry services. That's one of the areas that we see really lacking. And it's really difficult to hire psychiatrists with what you can pay them to support anyone and everyone in the community. Our services are open regardless of ability to pay across the lifespan. In our homeless support teams, we see a need for more prevention, trying to intervene with people before they reach that crisis level of care, so that we can try to prevent some of the things that we're seeing happening. And then in our living rooms, we currently have one opening in Will County by St. Joe's, but we have a second one that is currently in Cook County that we're moving to Will County by Slower Cross. And there's some additional funds related to that would be helpful. So this is where we see the need for the 708 board funds and to support all of the services that you've heard about today. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Keith Wallace. I'm the Executive Director for Lincoln Way Special Recreation Association. We provide recreational opportunities for individuals with disabilities for Frankfort, Mokina, New Lenox, Peatone, Manhattan, Crete, and Frankfort Square. In 2022, we served about 358 individuals with disabilities, over 3,500 programs. 78 of those individuals come from out of district. Out of those out of district, about 20% come from unincorporated Will County areas. In 2023, this year, we're on track to serve over 500 individuals with disabilities, and we have waiting lists and it's growing. One thing I would like to discuss today is our one program is our adult day program. Adult day programs are really needed. The age 22 is a scary age for all of our parents. We have a waiting list of people. We're served currently about 50 to 60 individuals in our day program. And we have a waiting list because we're really stacked on who we can provide services for. We don't provide that program out of necessity. We don't provide it out of need. We provide it out of need, but we don't have to because we provide recreational services. Our mission is to provide recreational opportunities for individuals, but there is a need for this service. There's a need for participants for socialization. There's a need for participants to have a place to belong. There's a need for participants to have a safe place to recreate, and that's why we do it. We don't have to do it. those programs come at a cost. A lot of things you may see now is interpreters. Some of our participants are deaf, hard of hearing. So we have to provide an interpreter. That comes at an extra cost to us. And it's a significant cost because if you have an interpreter here for this meeting, it's a cost. So that's something that we have to take on by law. So that's something funds would come. Our participants do pay a fee to participate in the program, but it is a flat fee, and we don't come to make a profit. None of these agencies come to make a profit. We come to serve. And then 25% of the population you will see has a disability. So 25% of the population in America has a disability. And I want to leave you with service to others is your rent you pay for your room on earth. That's by Muhammad Ali. And we love to serve. And some of these things, I changed my whole speech because it hits home. One of my kids is in the midst of a mental health crisis, and funds are running out, and we don't know what to do. So we really need to think about service and how we're going to serve, and funding is a barrier, and we need to eliminate those barriers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leon Mossick. I live in Rockdale, Illinois. I've served 2 terms on a local school board. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I do suffer from some effects from Agent Orange. I feel for all these people that need this help. Well, my pockets are empty. My taxes, I've already been told, are going to go up 10.5% next year. Now you're going to add this on there, which is about, I don't know what percent that would be, but probably be between $700 and $1,000. I can't afford it. You're going to put people out in the street if you keep raising these taxes. And another thing that concerns me is about the taxes. Is you seem to give the money away, nobody knows where it goes. The Veterans Assistance Commission got $485,000 a couple years ago. It disappeared, and nobody knows where it is. And the people that were in charge of it that are now working for the city of Joliet in a financial position. This stuff has got to stop. Look into some other things, maybe cut costs other places, and take care of these people. And believe me, I sympathize with them. Because I've had family members I've had to sit and watch die for months, and it's not easy. I know that. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Patricia Meade. There you go. I'm Patricia Meade. I am a nurse for 36 years at the Social and Justice Medical Center. I'm also the immediate past president of Illinois Nurses Association. I remain on that board, and I sit on the board of the Joseph Nurses Association as well. I am now so proud to sit on the North County Mental Health Board of Surveillance. I'm here to speak to our qualifications. The patients that I see on a day-to-day basis in my practice, I am more of an acute care practice, but as they say, it takes a village to take care of our patients. As listed by NAMI, the HRS scores that we in the United States are 27% short of psychiatric professionals, meaning psychiatrists. In Illinois, we are 22%, and that is of 2023 and year 23. I want to speak that we come to this board to help what we see and want to give care. We are the hands-on, face-to-face caregivers. So to even assume that we are not qualified, I have 26 years as an ECT nurse. If you don't know what that is, it's electroconvulsive therapy. I've had patients at the age of 14 years old, which broke my heart. I've taken care of patients that were catatonic. And due to the ECT treatments that I gave, I actually held those paddles to their head as the doctor hit the button. And it is a long process. I've had patients, but that broke my heart the most, she's 14 years old, until one day she came in and she knew my name and she could speak to me. That is what we do on the acute care side. But the outpatient setting is so important as well. And that is what we're advocating for. I also was almost attacked in my own driveway after leaving for 8 hours of nursing by a patient with a mental illness. He told me that he was an ex-veteran and he had been removed from service. He escalated, and because of my knowledge and how to talk to patients in manic state. I was able to talk him down because he told me to my face that he was going to rape me in my driveway at night. So to say that we still, even though we are in danger, we come here because we need to reach out. We need to have every modality in place that we can to help facilitate our patients. And I'm from Sacred Heart Church. You know us. We take care of the mentally ill, those homeless. We feed them. For 19 years, our pastor paid for their mental health medications that they weren't able to get. When you act up and you can't go to Daybreak or Morning Star, where do you go then? You walk the streets and you are unattended to. We are putting forth a program and a platform that we want to make sure that everybody that requires care is able to get it. Are we qualified? Are we certified? I am an RN, BSN, CRNA, CPAN, and TNS nurse. I am qualified, as are those that sit on that board, because we are there for our hearts and our community, and we deserve to be there. Please ask me to support us, because it is about us. Every fifth patient I see on a daily basis is diagnosed with some type of mental health disease and on medication, but are they available for them and practices to do outside care and have them receive that? Thank you.
Hi, I wasn't expecting to speak today, but I felt drawn to after some of these speakers were here. I'm a nurse at Ascension St. Joseph Medical Center on the psychiatric unit. Let me kind of tell you how this affects our clients on the psychiatric unit. So I'm going to piggyback off one of the stories that was told today about someone seeking mental health treatment by calling a local county mental health place for help. By the time someone decides that they are ready to seek help, they're already probably in crisis. And they're just putting a step forward to say, I need help, I need to go somewhere, don't necessarily want to be in the hospital, but I will go to appointments to talk to somebody. They are told, with your funding, with what you've told me, the kind of insurance you have, or if you don't know what you have, we can book an appointment for you in 6 to 12 months. Do you think any of your neighbors in a mental health crisis could wait 6 to 12 months? Typically then what happens is a family member may come out and realize that they're in crisis and they come to our ER. They get admitted, if we have room, to our mental health unit. At that point, we have services there. Our care managers, not every hospital has this or does this for their clients. We prepare them with whatever funding they have available, appointments for a therapist, appointments for psychiatrists or nurse practitioners to follow up for their medication, their outpatient treatment. Sounds wonderful, right? If you do not have funds, again, the quick way to get in and bypass the 6 to 12 month appointment is to get admitted to the hospital. So to me, logically, that would make sense to me that if this client is getting in more quickly within 2 weeks to a mental health service that is Medicaid funded, then they're going to push back all these people that are waiting 6 to 12 months for appointments. So we really need a board of mental health, people who are working the front lines to advocate for these kids who are having trouble with truancy. There's a reason for that. Family dynamics, what have you. There's, you know, driving here, just seeing the people that are unhoused and unable to have treatment, or if they want to remain unhoused, fine, but then let's get you some mental health treatment. Guys, these are your neighbors. How many times have we seen on the news that people were like, oh my gosh, they live 2 houses down from me. I didn't know that was going on. So we really need to have a board that is working the front lines and able to help. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening.
Good morning. I wasn't planning to speak either because I don't like public speaking.
Introduce yourself, sir.
Sure. My name is Derek Melton. I'm a school social worker at a school in District 86. And I do private practice at a psychiatrist's office a couple days a week. But really, I just wanted to speak, I guess, as an advocate for the kids at my school. My school district is 100% free lunch, so that gives you some idea of the socioeconomic status of that environment. And a lot of these families can't afford comprehensive mental health treatment, which might include therapy, psychiatry, and so for a lot of these families, the health department is the only show in town. Because trying to find someone in private practice who will take Medicare or Medicaid, it's almost impossible. So unfortunately, I've had to have multiple students hospitalized because of psychiatric issues, and the only reason they were able to maintain stability once they were discharged is because they were able to utilize the services provided by Will County. So, yeah, I just wanted to speak as an advocate for those kids, and I guess, just remind you guys of how valuable those services are to parents and families that wouldn't be able to afford those services anywhere else. So, thank you for giving me some time to speak.
Good morning. I'm Elizabeth Villado with the Will County Health Department, and with me is Denise Bergen with the Will County Health Department and Dr. Berg. We just want to say that the Will County Health Department has been providing behavioral health services to our citizens for years. It started back in the 1950s. We have child and adolescent services, adult services, we have MAT services. In the past, we've lost positions, and we're starting to rebuild our staff and our programs. But we can't do all the services. They're not all in our wheelhouse. We value all these partners that have come up here that are experts in different aspects of behavioral health services. And so as someone had said, it does take a village. So our behavioral health services are at the Will County Health Department and active and serving. However, we look to our partners for assistance and to complement the services we have. So we just wanted to say from the Will County Health Department and the Community Health Center that we would like to offer our support for the 708 board. Thank you.
At this time, we have a few comments that will be read in.
Dana House. I reside in Bolingbrook, Will County. We cannot afford another tax increase. Please look for other forms of revenue. Kathy Gebhardt. No to increasing taxes. Elizabeth Good. No, stop raising taxes. Senior citizens don't have extra money anymore with inflation going up and up. Give us a break. Valesser Davis. No to property tax increase. Kirk Molinaro. I say no to any new property tax proposals. We already pay too much tax in the state. Lisa Q. Do not raise taxes. I am at $10,000 a year for what? You are taxing us out of our homes. I am on limited income and can't afford this. Annie T. I would not appreciate a tax increase of any kind. Inflation and cost of utilities has risen so dramatically while wages have not. Jennifer Hammer. No, I don't agree to raising our taxes. Patricia Ryan. Hello, I was informed the board will be seeking the maximum levy to increase property taxes. Please vote against this. With the economic difficulties, unemployment, inflation, and the high current taxes, this increase could be disastrous to many families. The foreclosure rate is high, and one of the cause is due to the unreasonable taxes. My own property taxes have doubled. How do you expect people to continue to pay these rates? Why not instead try to decrease your expenses? I think you need to remember who you work for. Jessica Parks. I am writing as a sitting member of the 708 Mental Health Board. I have been working as a psychotherapist for over 12 years and am one of 2 practicing clinical mental health professionals on the board. While I am unable to be present at the meeting today because I am seeing clients, I thought it critical that I speak up today about the clear need in the community for the full levy to bridge significant gaps in access to quality mental health care. The 708 Board was created in response to our community's understanding that there is a growing mental health crisis that is being under-addressed. As our board has been meeting and gathering information from providers and systems already at work in the community, we have identified several important holes in the network of care for our most vulnerable populations in need of mental health care. There is a significant shortage of mental health practitioners with wait lists for most therapists working in Will County. This compounds the existing difficulties for our community in accessing mental health care. Our board is poised to build important access points and care systems in the community. We need adequate funding to do this. Without the necessary levy, the 708 Mental Health Board will be unable to do the work that our voters have charged us with. We know that increasing access to and quality of mental health care reduces emergency room visits and incarceration rates. It saves our community money in the long term. Fully funding the work of the 708 Board enables this. I urge you to consider this as your vote today. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Sure, you would like to make a public. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Mark Singletary. I really would like to help with the 708 initiative. My father was a World War II vet. When he came home, he was alive, but he was catatonic. So basically, you could go up to him and talk to him, but he was in a totally different place. I don't tell this story. One time we were going to get ready to go to church, 1989, just out of college. A vet came, knocked on the door. And basically he said, "Ray, there's nothing I can do. The VA won't pay my benefits anymore." My dad saw a lot of action in World War II in Italy. And this gentleman by the name of Ed Smith had 3 machine gun bullets in his stomach. He had to find a surviving member to get his VA benefits cared for. When Ed left, he showed pictures, fishing and doing stuff. My dad said to him, "I never want to see you again." Because it brought flashbacks back. He'd stand up in the middle of the night, get off the bed and urinate. He eventually died from Alzheimer's. It's a sad situation. But here's the other thing. There's taxes that go to it. How are we going to increase the property taxes for these great programs and take from someplace else? The budgets need to be managed, whether it's 500 million, $1 billion, it needs to be managed. I worked for a Fortune 50 company that managed a $16 billion budget. So we can't take from the people in the gallery because they're strapped as it is already. If their property taxes go up, one of 2 things happen. They either leave and cut their losses, or they stay and they complain and they don't come to these meetings. So I ask you, with this property tax increase, please take into consideration how much. I'm hearing numbers of $500 for every $100,000. I don't know if that's fact or fiction. Can somebody, can somebody, bring attention to that? We do need, increases, but we can't rob Peter to pay Paul. So if we're going to take from the people in the gallery for these great initiatives, where is this money going to come from? That's what I ask for. Thank you.
Well, we have our next chief come up. We will discuss the levies. You get accurate information during finance committee, the finance committee. Yes, you're welcome.
Hello, I'm Mary Lambert. I'm a resident in New Lenox. I've been in Will County in the Plainfield area for many, many years. I'm aware of this levy. All these stories, no doubt the help is needed. There's no question that people need these services. But just estimating how much, based on this levy, the $550 or whatever per $100,000. Okay, let's look at property values. Let's do an average of maybe some of these houses that are between $300,000 and $400,000 is the value, which isn't unrealistic. I am retired. We are on a fixed income. That's coming roughly out of my pocket an extra $2,000 a year doing some math.
Okay, where's that money going to come from? Where is it going to come from? We don't have that money. Even people that have incomes and have houses with mortgages, they don't have that kind of money. Undoubtedly, this is needed, but it doesn't have to be that same amount. It doesn't have to be the full amount of this. I really beg to think of us taxpayers. Think of the well is getting drier and drier with everything going on. Just think what you're doing to the people who are going to have to pay these taxes before you put this levy in place. Consider that as well. Thank you very much.
All right. With that, we will. If there's anyone else who would like to talk, if you don't mind coming up here now so we know that you are interested. I don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, my name is Kathy Wang. You can see I'm Chinese American. I already heard a lot about the tragedy, the case. I graduated from a medical school. So far I just see you, just see the increase the tax money. I never see that you talk about how to handle the financial issue. We do have this financial to help this kind of people. We do need help, but how to manage the money, because our Will County the property tax is really very high. I already heard so many people talking about this opinion. So we are not just increase the money, increase the tax. We really need to think about we're taxpayer. We have a large area needed to spend the money. So we need to find a good leader to how to handle this department, to manage the money. That's my opinion. If this person use this much money, cannot make this system, organization help the people very well, we can just change another person to help all the people. Thank you.
I'm James Giacomi, Joliet resident. I just want to say one thing, people. I only have a 1,000 square foot house. It's not very big. And I'm paying $4,250 on that house for a year. A 1,000 square foot box. And now they're going to push it up $548 per 100,000. They got my house value up at $200 grand. Now they're going to push it up another $1,100. Now that's a lot of money. I'm going to be up to about $5,300 for just a 1,000 square foot box. So people, you got bigger houses than I got, so you just know what you're going to be looking at on your property taxes if they do put this thing in effect. I just want everybody to know that. So, and I feel better sometimes, we got, keep paying it. Either we sell a house and go to Indiana or stay here. I want to die here. This is where I was born, and I'm going to stay here. But please consider us older people with these tax increases. Nailing us with another $1,100 for nothing, for every, I mean, $548 for 100 grand, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money too. And what we're paying for a little square box, 1,000 foot, $4,250, that is just crazy, it's ludicrous. So, and now we're going to give us here another $1,100 next year if this goes through, and wow, it's going to be so hard on us. So please, people, take care of us veterans like you're doing, and just, watch what you're going to pay if this goes through, basically.
And again, you're from us, we stick around for the finance committee so you get for information.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Kelly Hickey. I am a trustee at Wheatland Township. I am also the mother of 2 adult sons with autism. Listening to all the mental health professionals that came up and spoke was very much the story of my life. We looked for services in 11th place. My youngest son is 25 and is constantly looking for programming that applies to him. When I heard about the 708 board, I went door to door and talked to people and said, please, we need this. My son is functional in a lot of ways. He works, not at McDonald's, and he deserves to have services too. The voters have already voted. They want this. Whether you fund this or not looks ridiculous So please, do what the voters have asked you to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here today. This time we will move on to old business. All resolutions and ordinances from the September 19, 2023 board meeting have been signed and returned except resolution 2313, which has been vetoed. County Board Member Premier.
Thank you, Madam Executive. On October 13th, I forwarded an email from you addressed to Leader Balich and Chair Ogala, as well as the Chief of Staff, asking us to review a resolution addressing access Will County. I would now like to make a motion to place this resolution on the November County Board meeting agenda for a vote. And I so move.
Second. Motion by Trainer, seconded by Williams.
Point of
discussion.
Point of order.
County Board Member O'Gala.
This is not on the agenda. I believe we cannot do this.
So the status of the resolutions from last month are on the agenda. The opinion that I have rendered is that a motion and vote can be made to override the veto, but that is the limited business that county board would be able to take relative to that issue. I think the proper time to ask for this would be, you could request it verbally without a vote during your member comment, or you can ask the chair to put it on the agenda. The better practice is to ask the executive committee to address it and assign it to a committee. Those are the rules.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to new business. There's no new business, so we'll move on to Land Use and Development Committee. Chair Pretzel.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing for all land use cases.
Second, Revis. Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revis. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Balich.
Yes.
Trainer.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
O'Gala.
Yes.
22 affirmative. We are now in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. If you have comments regarding any of the land use cases, you can please come up now. We have it. Okay, there you go. Here we go. I don't have a list up here, so I don't know.
Good morning. My name is Jordan Belknap, Managing Director of Development with Turning Point Energy. On behalf of the applicant TPE-ILWI384 LLC, in reference to case ZC23087. Subsequent to the Land Committee meeting, the applicant has agreed to increase the minimum distance between the nearest solar panels and the residential dwelling at 23334 South Torrance Avenue to 250 feet. In addition, the landscape buffer has been included along the southern edge of the solar facility. Thank you.
My name is Corinne Pendergast. I live on
South Torrance Avenue in Crete. People are saying that, oh, these solar farms are safe. They haven't done any studies because they haven't had this many going up in residential areas. One of the health risks is anemia, behavioral issues in children. Children are especially susceptible to exposure to solar panels in their growth stage. I have neighbors that have little children, and they're very concerned about this. My other neighbor is going to be 50 feet from these solar panels. The panels emit electromagnetic radiation, which is dangerously reduces life expectancy. I don't believe any of you would want to live right next door to one. These companies that are saying that they're safe, none of them live right next door to them. They have, this company has not even figured out yet what they're going to do to the damaged panels. I guess they're going to go in Will County landfill. They said, oh, there's a company in Madison, Wisconsin that might dispose of it. I don't believe they're going to even send it, all these panels there. What are they going to do with the batteries? The electromagnetic waves produced by the power storage equipment are unhealthy to the human body. And then when asked about what they're going to do with all this, nobody could answer from this company. And I don't believe they care about the residents that live here. I had a petition signed. I turned it into the first meeting that they had, and there was over 30 people that signed in this that live on South Torrance that do not want this. And it just seems like I'm tired of people not listening to the taxpayers and the residents. It's all like a done deal. I'd like to know how much these companies paid off our governor and probably all of you. I don't know, but I'm really getting kind of tired of it. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jason Atwood. My property butts up right against to this property on the north side. I oppose this. I oppose the solar farm. Most of these solar farms that have been put in place are in extremely rural areas, farmland that's surrounded by other farmland. This would go right in the middle of a rural neighborhood. We are considered rural, but it's families, it's a neighborhood. There's families that's all around us, right smack dab in the middle. Not only is it going to be an eyesore to the community, to us that have been there, most of us have been there for 30 plus years in that area. It's an eyesore. It's going to cause our property values to go down. If and when I do decide to sell property, the amount of people that are going to be willing to buy my property looking directly at a solar farm 500 feet away from my property, it's going to really hinder the amount of people that are going to be willing to buy that property. It's going to affect my property values. I do not want this. I do not think that this is what, the location of this is what the governor and the legislatures had in mind when they put this law through to be able to allow these in here. I believe that this was meant to be in areas that weren't going to be seen by most people. I would ask that you would oppose this, do whatever you can to stop this. We, as the people in this area, do not want it. And if it does go through, unfortunately, like I said, I've lived there for 40 years. Gonna have to move, sell my property and move out of Illinois. And at this point in time, with the amount of people leaving Illinois, that is not working. Thank you.
chairs, members of the committee, members of the board. My name is Ken Zalazzo. I'm here with my wife Kathy. We live on approximately 17.5 acres of agricultural and farmland immediately adjacent to the proposed commercial solar project in case number ZC 23087. Our property is surrounded by other farmland and Will County Forest Preserve land. We grow hay on a large portion of our acreage, used to feed our own horses as well as animals at an equestrian boarding stable and farm adjacent to our land as well. Our emphatic opposition to the commercial special use permit being sought by Turning Point for this commercial project cannot be overstated, nor, with all due respect, can it be fully addressed in the time we have before the committee and the board. Please don't mistake my somber demeanor and brief comments as lacking the zealous request for fairness. We would like to present a written prepared statement read into the record. I want to express my shock and disbelief when we appeared before members of the Planning and Zoning Commission about 2 weeks ago on October 3rd. As we waited for a case to be called, we observed how another identical case for a proposed commercial solar farm was handled just before our case. That was case number ZC 23-86 involving Mooney, Illinois, here in Will County. During that hearing, a majority of the commission members publicly voiced that in their opinion, they have no option but to approve the proposed solar farm in Mooney because of state legislation enacted in Public Act 102-1132. Later, during our own hearing, the same opinion was again publicly voiced by a majority of the members. The resulting vote and the recommendation to you is reflected in the case files that each of you have before you. Accordingly, if the commission majority position is correct, Will County Ordinance Chapter 155-16.40 is meaningless. And any hearings that were held or will be held are a pretense and a sham. Public Act 102-1132, supported by the governor, does not mandate approval for every solar farm whenever one is applied for. The Public Act itself contains provisions that require mandatory hearings for each proposed solar project on a case-by-case basis. At such hearings, the opportunity for full cross-examination of the solar farm proponents is also authorized by the statute. In this case before you involving us, significant legitimate concerns remain unaddressed because numerous complex issues are involved and questions remain unanswered. Double-sided, single-spaced, 100-plus page packets are before you all in your files. Furthermore, Public Act 102-1132 does not prohibit reasonable local ordinance criteria to be applied when it's applied equally on a case-by-case basis, as long as it's consistent with the statute. Our Will County ordinances, Chapter 155, Section I, requires that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare and comfort. In the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission in this case, the staff report concludes no such detriment or endangerment exists. However, inexplicably, the staff opinion does not take into account the opinions of the 30-plus landowners, farmers, and residents who surround the proposed site who have signed a petition to deny the application for a solar farm that's also contained in your file. The staff report also fails to articulate any accountability for what is to be done about construction equipment and semi-truck traffic on the roads that lead to many neighborhood homes. Please, If you have not yet done so, take a look at pages 11, 12, and 13 of the staff report. Look at the pictures of Torrance Avenue that are portrayed. That is the single road in the area on the east side of the proposed project. Ask yourself when looking at it, is construction equipment and the tonnage of the amount of weight going on that particular road and semi-truck traffic able to use that road without detrimental impact? That's the only road to some people's homes in that immediate area. While looking at those pictures, also ask yourself what a wall up to 25 feet tall around 50 acres would do to the agricultural community. There's not a fence higher than a horse fence with wires 3 feet per mile surrounding the project, except for a mile and a half about away when Route 394, which is a highway, has various restaurants and commercial matters right on 394. I'd like to point out an example of the unrealistic circumstances of the project. It's in your packet. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources has identified the blanding turtle as a state-threatened or endangered species in this area. Let me suggest to you, with raised eyebrows, how absurd this recommendation is. If blanding turtles are encountered, crews should stop working immediately and allow the turtle to move out of the way. Does anybody really think that's realistic? You think that anybody's going to follow that when you're driving a 2-ton or 3-ton construction equipment or truck? Or how about when there are solar panels, 12,000 solar panels face to face? Does anybody really think that's going to be honored? Kathy?
Good morning. Again, my name is Kathy Palazzo, and I'm going to continue on with what Ken was saying. Another of the ordinance criteria required by the commercial solar energy facility would not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. And again, it's a neighborhood. There's just houses surrounding this property. The staff report acknowledges in its report that the full impact of the solar farm facility on surrounding property values is not known at this time. Yet, inexplicably, the staff report nevertheless recommended approving a commercial special use permit for the solar farm. Moreover, the staff report recommendation fails to include even one analysis that addresses redirecting stormwater runoff or just disrupting existing stormwater systems or snowmelt from the solar panels or polluting waterways, underground waters, wetlands, or creeks for the actual proposed site. There is no stormwater damage drainage plan presented yet. The points I have raised only addresses some of the very significant issues caused by the proposal for the solar farm. Converting agricultural land to commercial solar panels has adverse effects on the property in the vicinity. Proof of this is found in Perry County, Illinois, White County, Illinois. Their construction of solar farms at those two sites in Illinois have resulted in environmental damage to surrounding lands and waterways, and those two sites were found to be in violation of Federal Clear Water Act just within the last year. In these cases, the EPA noted solar farm construction involves clearing and grading large sections of land, which can lead to significant erosion and major runoff sediments into waterways if the stormwater controls at the sites are inadequate. Increased sediment in waterways can injure, suffocate, or kill aquatic life,
damage aquatic ecosystems, and cause significant harm to drinking water treatment systems. Changing agricultural land to commercial solar panels will also have unknown effect on additional environmental and ecological impact on wildlife in the Will County Forest Preserves and Cook County Forest Preserves. No credible study has been done in our state to even begin to assessing the long-term effect of underground wiring and battery storage units and the use, repair, and disposal of 12,000 plus solar panels that are part of this particular project. Whether you believe in global warming or climate change or not, no reasonable person can deny that the current so-called green energy technology is in its infancy. It is wrong and reckless to impose such drastic environmental changes on existing landowners and residents with little caution to ensure that our very lives or property will not be jeopardized. My husband and I, as do the people in the surrounding farm and residents, rely on well water for daily personal use to survive. Our active cultivated farm crop and animals are all affected by any change in the water system, the stormwater runoff patterns. Natural drainage patterns and quality of groundwater caused by the clearing and grading of large sections of farmland for solar panels. Not one landowner or resident surrounding the proposed site has come forward to endorse the proposed commercial special use permit for this solar farm, except for the site owner. We understand that by opposing the commercial special use permit, we are advocating against the desires of our neighbors, Jerry and his wife Lori, who own the land and want a financial interest in the proposed commercial solar farm. They have been good neighbors. However, our opposition is very well founded. It is based not only on our own personal interests as our landowners of the existing agricultural community, but it is also based on preserving the well-being and integrity of the rural and agricultural community that surrounds the proposed site. We ask that you deny this commercial special use permit. Thank you for your time.
I motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Freeman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Balich.
Yes.
Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Bosa.
Yes.
Ogalla.
Yes.
Wait, the public hearing is now closed. Peter.
Thank you, Madam Executive. First up on the agenda, zoning case ZC 23062, UNH Investments LLC, owner of record, and Irfan Malik, agent, requesting a map amendment from R1 to I1 and special use permit for a truck terminal in Loney Township, commonly known as vacant property on the east side of South Cicero Avenue, Loney, Illinois County Board District number 3. We're going to vote on two separate things here. First up is a map amendment from R1 to I1. This passed with unanimous approval of both PCC and land use, and I so move.
Second. Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. Previous roll call by Bailey, seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is a special use permit for a truck terminal with 11 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel,
Second, Freeman.
seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Bailey, seconded by Berkowitz. All in favor? Oh, sorry, do you have a question? I thought you raised your hand. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next on the agenda, zoning case ZC 23074, Christopher Dupuis, owner of record, T. Buckruden, agent, and Nathaniel Washburn, KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a map amendment from A1 to R3 in Wheatland Township, commonly known as 24613 West 103rd Street, Naperville, Illinois County Board District Number 8. This was amended in committee, so we're actually requesting map amendment from A1 to R2A, and I so move.
Motion by Fretzel, seconded by Freeman.
Previous, Trenier.
Previous roll call.
Second.
Seconded by Balch. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, zoning case ZC 23086, Felipe D. Resendez, owner of record Alex Mendelson of TPEILWI 202 LLC, agent Kyle Berry of McGuire Woods LLP, attorney, requesting a special use permit for solar energy facility, commercial, and a variance for a number of required mowings from 5 times to 1 time, and a variance for maximum ground cover plant height from 13 inches to 36 inches in Monee Township, commonly known as vacant South Little Center Road, Monee, Illinois County Board District Number 3. This did pass Land Use and Development Committee 6-1, and for approval for solar energy facility with 3 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Fretzel.
Second, Trenier.
Seconded by Trenier.
I'm a no.
Wait, hold on, okay, any discussion? Kind of give it, County Board Member Freeman.
Sorry. So we had a gentleman that just came up and spoke and said that there's some portions of the state rules, Mary, this is directed to you. Does that change the fact that we, as a board, are still obligated to follow the state law?
Well, obviously, you're obligated to follow state.
Well, yeah, that was a crazy way to put that. So let me try it again. So is there a loophole there that would give us as a county the option?
So
where
it
these
is
solar
our
farms are?
opinion that it doesn't, that the law is clear that the counties were required to adopt ordinances that were consistent with the state statute, and that once the applicant conformed with all of the state requirements, which are then incorporated into the county ordinance, then you are required to approve it. There is a thought among some in the legal community that there is still the special use process and that has been untouched. There has been no court case on that, obviously, because this is new legislation. But logically thinking through that, that would undermine the entire intent of the legislation that was passed, which was to basically restrict the ability of local government to deny these types of facilities.
I was afraid you were going to say that. Thank you.
I have Chair O'Gallagher and Steve, County Board Member Balch. I have Chair O'Gallagher. Oh, you know, okay.
I do want to say thank you for that.
Why do that? Which one?
You're up.
The government is the problem here. So when somebody wants to do something that's going to be detrimental to our county, it's our duty to represent the people and stand up and say, no, let it go to court. Let the state sue us because their law stinks. We shouldn't obey just because some king says to do it. Because they could start saying all kinds of things that hurt us. We have to be not afraid to stand up to them and say no. And so I'm voting no for everything solar until it gets fixed.
Yes.
Chair O'Gallagher.
Thank you. I know the Little South Cook Soil and Water Conservation District also does NRIs for these solar facilities. And they were made aware of a solar facility that was denied by the Illinois Department of Ag due to the LISA score. Had a high LISA score, so they denied that solar facility from being built. So that is something we need to look at. And the reason they stated is both the state of Illinois and the federal government have ordinances or laws in place to protect agricultural land. So those farms that have a high soil LISA score, meaning they're very, very productive land, should be protected for agricultural land. And just because somebody made it a very friendly name and called it a solar farm, it's a solar facility. It should be zoned industrial, and we do not allow industrial to go anywhere they please. So this is something that I hope that the Land Use Committee will look at to
determine if this is the case, then we should really be able to consider Lisa scores and deny any based upon those facts. Thank you.
Thank you. See no more County Board Member Trujillo?
Thank you, Madam Executive. I have a question for the state's attorney representing the county board. Can we take into consideration the Lisa score? Is that allowed by law?
Can we take into consideration, I did not understand what you said.
The soil score. I deny a solar facility based on a solar score. I mean, a power
I'm
score.
unaware of anything in the legislation.
Thank you.
That addresses that. If it is the will of this county board, I can look into other legislation to see if it impacts this legislation.
Sure, I'd be happy to, but I'm just a member.
Okay, see no more discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Balich.
No.
Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman.
No.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
No.
Butler.
No.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
No.
Parker.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
No.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
I'm a yes, but now I'm starting to get confused. I think that was this the one that there was all the opposition from, or is that the next one?
That's the next one.
Okay, so I'm a yes.
Mitchell.
No.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
No.
Mueller.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Ogalla.
No.
Held in an affirmative, the motion carries.
Next, zoning case ZC 23087. The Moeller Trust, owner of record, Alexander Mendelson of TPEILWI 384 LLC agent, and Kyle Berry of McGuire Woods LLP attorney, requesting a special use permit for solar energy facility, commercial. Variance for number of required mowings from 5 times to 1 time, and variance for maximum ground cover. Plant height from 13 inches to 36 inches in Crete Township, commonly known as Bacon Torrance Avenue, Crete, Illinois, County Board District Number 3. This did pass 5-2 approval for special use permit from the Land Use and Development Committee for solar energy facility with 3 conditions and ISO.
Second, Trenier.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trenier. Any discussion? County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to thank Chair Ogalla for sharing that information regarding the Lisa scores, and I'd like to ask Mary, can you look into that and get the details on that? Because obviously if it occurred in other counties, I'd like to know, have that information provided to us.
I would ask that the Chief of Staff of County Board send me a written request so it's clear what is being requested.
Okay,
As is the practice and required under your rules.
Okay, so that is in the record that our Chief of Staff should send you a request and you will act on that. Thank you. I just want to say, you know, this industry is brought forward, and it's been the authority for the county has been taken away by Springfield, because this is a green technology, green energy. However, there are questions that I continue to ask, and there's never any answers. This is a green industry. Where are these panels and the equipment, all of the equipment, wires, batteries, and there may not be batteries on site, but there are batteries that they need to use with this technology. Where are they recycled? I've never gotten an answer. Are they recycled? Never gotten an answer. We know that there is not a recycling plant in place at this time that can handle or address the volume of facilities that are being built. There isn't. The industry will tell you that. Another thing is if they are not recycling these products, this is technology. It always breaks. Maintenance has to be done. Are these items being disposed of in the Will County landfill? That impacts our county as well. We're in current talks right now about the need to create another landfill. That's additional expense to the residents and the businesses in this county. So I'm asking these questions again. I don't know if staff or perhaps the developer has the answers to these questions. I would welcome any feedback at this time.
At this time, we're not having developers come here and speak, but I do suggest that
Our staff
you can have their staff speak, but I also encourage you to ask for the questions at your committee as well.
Well, I'd love to find out if our staff,
and I don't know if they're prepared to answer things in a general case. So why don't we focus on the case at hand? I don't know if that'll change your vote here, but I'm going to encourage you to do that via committee. Your chair is right next to you, and I think you will be more than willing to address
right now I'm asking if staff has any information for our full board.
Staff, do you have David, would you like to come up to answer? Can you come up briefly? And I'm assuming you want to know if there's any, at this time, battery storage? I'm not sure.
Do you want me to repeat the question? Okay.
They may not have answered for it.
Okay, so, and maybe this is something the county needs to act on. I mean, you want to promote a green environment.
This is what it is for here. Exactly.
Good morning, Brian Ryder from the Land Use Department. Staff does not have a specific answer to this question. We only have a general response is that the industry will be required to recycle the panels when they are at end of use. So that's as specific as I can get.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 more speakers. County Board Member Revis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I opened it up to staff report, and pretty quickly you can see that this property that we're talking about, or the subject site, is pretty residential, and for those reasons I'm a no on this project. This solar farm, compared to the other ones we voted on, appears to be in a extremely residential area, albeit rural, but it seems pretty residential. So I recommend a no.
County Board Member Butler.
Okay, so on this particular case, I believe that they were going to be grazing sheep on this, so I don't know that cutting is going to help for that. And then I also remember on this that a lot of the boundaries, except for one corner, were wetlands, so there was even more of a space in between there. And then on the one corner, I know that they were already talking about peeling back their solar panels to accommodate the neighbors. So for all that, I'm going to be recommending a yes.
County Board Member Newquist.
Yes, thank you. I am generally in favor of solar energy. However, I do think that we should be able to retain some local control. I mean, given that that's not the case, I have been voting yes, to be consistent with state law. But I would really encourage us to explore what wiggle room we have. I'd encourage us to talk with our state legislators about changing this, because the fact that we have no local control is very frustrating. I mean, I understand people's feelings on that. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you. And thank you for that, Sherry. I also had spoken to my particular state senator, and he is in the same feeling as a lot of us that the county does need some local control. So I will continue to try to work with him and Springfield to try to make that happen. So it would make life easier for us here at the county. So, thank you.
County Board Member Burke, would you have a follow-up?
Just one quick thing. I also want the, our board members to know that this particular parcel received a very high LISA score as essential farmland. So again, that's another reason why I won't be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
No.
Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schwabman.
No.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
No.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
No.
Parker.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
No.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
No.
Mitchell.
No.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
No.
Mueller.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Ogala.
No.
Whoa. Oh, never mind. Sorry. I thought you skipped me. I'm losing my mind. I'm thinking Forest Preserve and I'm expected to be after L, and I already voted. It's been a long day. I was up till 11:15 last night at his own meeting.
Did you get her?
No.
12 members voted in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Next is Land Use and Development Committee resolutions. First up on the agenda, 23-323, authorizing the adoption of the 2024 Will County Comprehensive Noxious Weed Work Plans. And I so move.
Second, Winfrey. Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Winfrey. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schwabman.
Yeah.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams. Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Ogala.
Yes. 22 in affirmative, the motion carries.
Okay, the next Land Use and Development meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to Finance Committee, Chair Richmond.
Good morning, Madam Chair. First up, we have today is our monthly financial reports. I'd like to make a motion to place those on file.
Second, Revis.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Revis.
Previous
Roll call by Trenier.
Second, Ortiz.
Seconded by Ortiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item up, and it's an item that I do wish to discuss, is going to be resolution number 23-324, determination of the estimated annual aggregated levy, and I so move.
Second, O'Gara.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by O'Gala. You can press your buttons, and I know there's going to be a discussion to start here. And it will send you up in order too. Chair,
So I'm good to go.
you're up.
So, I mean, we've heard from a lot of different residents today and a lot of different organizations, and no one is going to deny that there are services that our county needs to provide. The question is at what cost? I've spent a great deal of time working with staff, county staff, as well as myself, going through the budget on a line item by line item basis. I found numerous cases over the 2 pages of instances where $10,000 was budgeted, zero's been spent over the past 3 years, and I think adjustments can be made on numerous line items throughout the whole. There's also 2 projects. There's several things on the capital side that we're looking at. Projects that I know we're not going to complete in 2024 to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. Those are things that what I think we should do is we should allocate a proportional amount that's going to be dedicated to the project and its completion into next year's budget. So there are dollars there that can actually be reduced and moved to the 2025 budget. as well as the fact that our anticipated increase in interest income is significantly increased based on what everybody's seen in their banking statements and that they're no longer getting 1%, and they're now getting anywhere from 4 to 5.5%, depending on how long you tie your money up, based on the liquidity that you want for your dollars. Lastly, I believe that there's a way for us to make some of these minor changes that aren't going to impact staff, aren't going to impact laying off any employees, or impact any of the services we're going to provide. So I think that what I would like to do is I would like to make an amendment to the motion and change it to 2% CPI and new growth.
Second O'Gallagher.
So we have a motion, and so for the new folks here, you gotta pay attention here, because we're gonna do a lot of amendments. I'll try to get as clear as possible what you are actually voting on. So we have an amendment, or a motion and a second, to change the resolution to a 2% plus new construction.
Roll call, please. Motion to call the roll.
Yeah, new roll. Any discussion on the new proposal? Now we have any discussion on the new proposal?
Call the roll.
Madam, you're on, okay, no, okay. Just, if you're not going to talk on this one, just turn your buttons off so I know. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. It's on 2% new construction. Balich.
Yes.
Trainier.
No.
Dean Schlotman.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
No.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
No.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
Diaz.
No.
Winfrey.
No.
Coleman.
No.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
No.
Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz.
No.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller.
No.
Costa.
No.
Ogala.
Yes.
County Executive votes no. County Board Member Balich.
I'd like to make an amendment to -10 with no new construction. And the reason for that is that the people in this Will County area, especially, are dying with all the inflation. They can't afford food. This is nuts what's going on. Government is the problem. If you look what's going on, inflation, that's because you keep printing money. Can't do that. Then you bring in all the people from every country in the world. Now you got to pay to have them go live somewhere. Our money. When I was studying to be a psychologist, the biggest thing was you never want to have somebody be helpless and hopeless. That's when they start thinking about killing themselves. And I could ask any of the professionals, but that's what you have in school. So anyway, when you raise the taxes to these levels that they're already paying now, without the new increase, people are having trouble to pay their bills. One of the board members said that 40% of the people live week to week. This is totally insane, raising any more bills. So I don't need to continue because I guess no one really cares that the people are suffering. I do. And I represent people, not the friggin' government.
County Board Member Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I have taken a look at the tax levy, the budget, and all of the numbers, and we all know there's a lot of numbers in that book. I want to thank the County Board Chair for reaching out to me multiple times in regards to the levy. I appreciate her efforts to help me understand the levy by helping me set up time to meet with our great county finance employees. Staff members sat down with me on the phone for over an hour and thoroughly walked me through many of the line items in this very large budget book. So I want to thank her for that. I really appreciate that. Similarly, I'd like to thank the county executive and her staff for making themselves available to answer any questions about the tax levy. County staff again sat down with me for some time to go over the budget piece by piece and make it so that it was manageable to comprehend. I appreciate them providing documentation on the differences in the dollar amount to be paid by a household per year with the new proposed increase. It was especially helpful in making my decision, especially being a freshman board member. I've heard talk from my county colleagues about how increases are going to hurt old people and young people alike. Being among one of the youngest county board members, 27 years young, I own my own home here in Romeoville with my husband and my 3 children. I can confidently say that an increase of $19 for the annual aggregate levy plus $37 for the community mental health board, totaling $58, is not going to break my bank, thankfully. But if we're so worried about young people not being able to afford their taxes, maybe we should raise the pay for the county board position so that this young mother of 3 doesn't have to look for a second job to make up for what the first one doesn't pay. Thank you.
Second,
County board member, I'm sorry, it was second. Sorry, I wanted to word there. So we have I don't know what minus 10 means, Steve.
It means take 10% out of every line item. That's what it means. In other words, cut the entire budget by 10%.
That's a budget that we're going to talk about the levy.
The levy, I'm sorry. Cut the levy by 10%.
You want a minus 10% levy?
Yeah. I wanted minus 30 if you remember. But you can't have
a minus 10 levy.
You can do minus 10. You can do minus 50. Is there a law that says you can't do minus 10?
Yeah, I don't know how you would.
All right, Mary, is there a law that says you can't do minus 10?
I think we're all just trying to understand what it is you're trying
Minus 10 means you cut the budget instead of...
So are you asking to cut the proposed levy by 10%?
Yes.
Are you asking
to cut the proposed levy by 10%.
So you're asking to be, so we're at 4%, you're asking for a minus 10, so we...
Yes. All right, you know what? I'll make it easy. I motion to make a 0.
So you want a 0?
No levy increase at all, no new construction.
Understand.
I amend my motion to say no increase in CPI, no new construction. 0.
I'll second that one.
Motion by Balich, seconded by Logan for a 0% levy and a 0% new construction. Is there any discussion? And again, if there's any discussion, please put the button on now, otherwise turn it off and you'll go to the next one. So you have a list. County Board Member Bernier and Richmond.
I just want to say that I reviewed the document that our supervisor of assessments provided. I found that very enlightening. I too expected a raise in my equalized assessed value this year because of nobody moving out of Illinois fast enough and people having babies. Houses have exponentially increased in cost, which unfortunately affects those of us that didn't move anywhere. And so my EAV went from 83,000 to 88,000. And I hate numbers, but I think I'm pretty accurate on this. With that 88,000, I am now, instead of getting a $6,000 homestead exemption, I'm getting an $8,000 homestead exemption. So another $2,000 reduction. So now instead of 88,000, I'm going to be at 86,000. I looked at this levy rate, and like board members, just keep running this county and approving pay raises for employees and not funding. We've got employees that are severely underpaid. You heard testimony this morning from people that work in the mental health field. I happen to know many people in that field making $35,000 a year after college. You can't raise a family on that. You can't expect people to go to this career even. We can't recruit them from outside the state if we aren't willing to pay them. And we can't pay them with a promise promissory note for someday, eventually, maybe we'll raise the levy. No, we need to adequately fund the services that this county is expected by law to provide. Thank you.
We have a whole bunch of speakers here. So, County Board Member Richmond, and this is discussion on the 0-0.
So the proposed going from 4 to 2 was $2.9 million. Like we discussed, it's not cutting services, it's not cutting employees, it's the shifting of money based on the timing of projects and the interest income that we anticipate coming in. And it's not just 2 lattes or two visits to Taco Bell. Times that by the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 taxing bodies that are on that tax bill that are going to impact each and every resident. And I guarantee you, if there was a $50 bill on the ground, when you walk out of this building in the parking lot, on the sidewalk, or in your neighborhood, you're all picking it up.
That's right.
That's all I have.
County Board Member Logan.
All right, thank you. Today we're voting on a levy anywhere from 0 to 5.5%. Then we go through the budget. That doesn't make business sense to me. And the reason why I say that is I have 2 small businesses that are quite profitable. Even though I'm new to the board, I would think if we're responsible, we would go through the budget and remove the excess spending. After hours of combing through hundreds of pages of the budget, I was at 462 pages, and I can't say how many line items. The amount that could be probably cut out could be in the $6 million range. Note this does not include terminating anybody, doesn't mean laying anybody off, doesn't include removing services or even reducing services. One example is that in 2021 there was 0 money spent or very little money spent. In 2022 there's little money spent. 2023 there's little money spent, and then in 2024 we're recommending $20,000 to $50,000. I know what I'm about to suggest is not a standard government practice, but I would recommend that we do the budget, figure out how much money we actually need, and then make the levy appropriate. Instead of maxing out the levy and then having excess millions of dollars, and then trying to find out where we can put that money. I think the average taxpayer would rather say trim the budget and not increase taxes if we don't have to. Looking at this budget, 0% increase is completely attainable. I may be in the minority of this process. There's going to be members that are going to want to vote for 4%, then plus 1.5%, which is anywhere from what, $6 to $8 million, and then figure out how to spend it. I think we should think of the taxpayers first. That's just my 2 cents, and I was actually budgeted for 5 cents for that. Thank you.
County Board Member O'Gall.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that the Republican caucus never received whatever document was the Democrat leader was referring to from the supervisor assessment's office. I would like to have that so that we can have that on our side of the aisle. In addition to that, you also have to wonder what's really going on here. When the board members speak to our finance person and the finance committee chair who has spent hours and hours and hours going through this with the proposed budget, which is what we're putting forward for a levy today, and found dollars that we could remove to save tax residents money. Saving money and putting that and being a group that steps up and says, you know, we're not going to tax the max, as many do. We're not even taxed the proposed amount. But what's really going on here when the finance chair and the finance staff person from the county board have one opinion, and the finance person from the executive's office has a different opinion. The numbers are the same, the numbers don't change. The numbers don't lie. It's the story that's behind these numbers that changes. And that's the importance here. It's not simply the fact that, well, you know, we couldn't remove certain things such as $694,000 from the Land Use Committee because for the DuPage River study. We funded that. We funded that through our fund. There's no reason why that can't be removed. Lower it by that. And there are many other ones that could be done. Many things I know, Vince had a long flight overseas. He spent his time going through the budget book, as Jim has, and they found these extraneous line items throughout the budget. Jim has 2 pages. Would you like to see them? Where there's been something budgeted for a certain amount of money in every department. And over the last 3 years, maybe it was budgeted at $40,000 and they've spent $600,000. That's fat. That needs to be cut. And shame on anybody who doesn't think it needs to be cut. And as far as raising our salaries so people can get elected, you're a public servant. You're here to serve the public. You're not here to make a salary. You have a job for that. Your job has, state statute exists today that your job must give you time off to serve. So don't tell me you need an increase. I've put in countless hours as the chair. I have tried to work across the aisle since I have taken this position. Splitting the board 50-50 in chairmanships and such. Splitting proclamations and many other things that has never been done before. Trying to get there. That never happens. That never happens. So we need to consider that and consider why is this difference. It's the story behind the why.
County Board Member Revis.
I don't know if everybody has this document that was provided by the finance team. It might help while we go over this, while I make my statements. This is the breakdown based on 4% CPI, and then if we were to take new construction with that, and it breaks it down from 4% to 0%. I just think it provides some good context into what we are actually voting on here today. What we're actually voting on is an $8 million increase. If we adopt this 4% CPI, I know right now the amendment is for 0%, but 0% would mean we increase taxes, and we just take new construction. I'm not sure if that's what, no construction. So that's a $0 increase. That's a $0 increase in the overall spend. If we were to take only new construction, that's $2.2 million in more spend. If we take the 4% plus new construction, that's $8 million of new spend that comes from Will County taxpayers. $8 million, and that doesn't include the $10 million from the Mental Health 708 Board. So we're really talking about $18 million more money collected from taxpayers at a time when we have $1.03 trillion in credit card debt. Americans across this country, it's the first time it's ever topped $1 trillion, $1.03 trillion. 18 million more dollars collected at a time when Illinois 7,000 units of government are maxing they're taking the max levy that they can. If they're not taking the max, they're taking pretty close to it, just like we're talking about here today. 18 million more dollars in spend brought at a time when Illinois is second nationally in foreclosures. Will County is the has the fourth most foreclosures out of all the counties in the state of Illinois. These things are attributed to more property taxes. 18 million more dollars at a time when Will County has been identified as the 41st most at-risk housing market in the entire United States at risk of a downturn. This is not something that we want to break the top 50 in. But speaking specifically to this levy and the negotiation process, 11 Democrats seem content with $18 million in more spending by the taxpayer at the county level. 11 of us Republicans, we want to lower it in some way. Whether it's 0%, I know there was the conversation about 2%, maybe even 2.5%. But there just doesn't seem to be an appetite for that. I went to the Democratic caucus last night. We tried to talk about new construction, but the concerns on the opposite side of the aisle are that we need to take this full 4% plus the new construction, and then we need to give the full $10 million for the mental health board, meaning half of this board is for $18 million in more taxes, while the other half wants to practice some fiscal responsibility and not take as much because we really don't need that. What the proposal for 4% plus new construction does, it doesn't adequately fund government, it overfunds government. We're not asking on this side to overfund. We're not asking to underfund. We just need to come to a middle ground. I'm going to leave you with this. The best thing we can do in our position here as county board members is go into our neighborhoods, talk to our neighbors, and see where they fall on this. I was out this past weekend. I was circulating signatures for one of the local candidates, and I talked to someone and said something to the effect of, after we were done conversating about issues, I said, are you a Republican, are you a Democrat, are you an independent? and he responded with something so perfect that I think this board could take a little advice from. He said he's somewhere in the middle. We need to be better on this board at being somewhere in the middle. There's 11 of us from both sides, and we could come to a consensus, and it would yield better outcomes for the taxpayer if we were to do so. Unfortunately, $18 million is too much money and more spent. I'm a no on 4%. I would come down from that number, but like I said, it doesn't seem like there's an appetite to do so. So thank you, vote no on more taxes.
County Board Member Coleman.
Thank you, County Executive. I had to get caught up on a few things, but one thing that I've noticed in political affairs and government, and sometimes in general when things happen, the more people repeat things, the more people believe that it's true. There's a gentleman that spoke earlier today that thought his taxes were going up by $500. And so when we say tax to the max, that side wants to do this, it's propaganda and it's instilling fear in people to make them think that we're trying to take this funding and, you know, we don't care about what they say. And so the accurate number that I received, because instead of saying, there's a lot of people, those people, them that live there, we all live in Will County. This impacts everyone sitting on the board. I am a homeowner. And from my understanding, the difference between last year and this year may be $200 for me. So, to the point of numbers, I want to take us back to ARPA. The county received inheritance is what I like to call it. It probably will never happen again. We don't want it to happen again because it happened because of the pandemic. We received $133 million. There was some of those funds earmarked for the health pillar. The people who do the work in Will County, the agencies that are what I call boots on the ground, talking to the people, requested $94 million. What did they receive? $16 million. That leaves a $78 million difference for the needs of the people in Will County who we work for. So when we talk about we don't need to raise things, we're not even raising it as much as we have, as much as we are legally capable of doing. That's just the health pillar. Every pillar had more requests than the funds that were in it for the people of Will County. So when we talk about what one side wants versus the other, we're talking about what the people have requested. We had numerous agencies, and that was just for mental health. We're going to get to that later, so I'll talk about numbers again then. So I do believe that there's room, if Mr. Richmond has found $6 million that's just been floating around for 3 years and we can cut it out of the budget, great. That takes a little bit from the $78 million we still need for the health pillar. So I would hope, you know, people want to be heroic, they want to look like they're helping the people, no new taxes. There are things that need to be paid for. There are county deputies, a shortage of them. The salary is lower than most of the residing counties. I have constituents telling me it took 2 hours for someone to get to their house when they call 911. That's an issue. To the next point. Everyone talks about how much they love veterans. I'm a combat veteran spending 15 months in Iraq. Every Veterans Day, thank you for your service. I tell people I'm a veteran, thank you for your service. And what do we have? Homeless veterans. Veterans that need mental help. This is just one of the populations that need the help. So I don't want a free Chili's meal or go to Applebee's and get a dessert. I want to see that veterans are being taken care of, not in word, but also in action. And I really wish people would quit telling lies. It's not misinformation, it's not alternative fact, it's a lie. So whoever put out $500 and something plus for $100,000, 1,000 square foot home, that's a lie. There are actual statistical numbers that say what's up. The mental health clinic over in Silver Cross, it's a gentleman that was there. His parents just dropped him off. We can't do anything with him. He's 18, he's got ADHD, we're tired of him. That gentleman had to sit there for 16 hours because there's no beds. His parents would not come back and get him. They had to convince his grandmother to get him. My father, 76, spent from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in Silver Cross Hospital, no room, because the mental health patients go there because they know they might get a bed. He wasn't there for mental health, but there's no room there because there's no place for people to go that have mental health issues. We had a whole 40 people line up here for an opioid rehab home, the third one on the east side of Joliet. Everyone cheering, we need this, we need that. That is an after action piece. What we can do right now is proactive. We haven't even touched on the needs that have to happen in the education world, because the county doesn't really do much with that. But what we do is handle mental health, homelessness, economic development, and if you think we're going to have a 0% increase in our taxes for years to come and help the people and fix the roads and fix the bridges, it's not going to happen. It's absurd to even sit up here and say 0 and 0. Absurd. We know that's not going to pass. So we're going to waste time? Fine. I'm going to speak every time then too. You say something absurd, I'm raising my hand and counter it. Because it makes absolutely no sense to think that we can serve the people of Will County when, once again, I'll go back to the number and I'm done. 93 million requested just in the health pillar, 16 million fulfilled, leaving a $78 million hole for the people of Will County. All those organizations had to serve the people of Will County. And we're not getting close to that 78 million with this levy. We're just touching on it. So thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive.
You know, sorry.
I understand that there's a need for more health services, but everyone is experiencing this. People who have insurance and pay hefty premiums and deductibles are experiencing this. I tried to make an appointment for a cardiologist for a family member. 4-month wait. They said, if you can't wait, go to the ER. So everyone, now, should the taxpayers start doing this too? Should they start going into our clinic? Money is not going to solve this. Raising taxes is not going to solve this. By raising taxes, we're creating more people who are struggling. More people who can't afford higher taxes. They are talking to us now and they're saying enough. You made 20 bucks out of your pocket, you might be able to handle that. But I can tell you there's a lot of people who can't. And then multiply it by every levy on your tax bill. Park districts, city, road districts, pension. Look at the pension categories on your tax bill. Now, our HR sent out the holiday calendar for 2024. So certain county employees receive 13 paid holidays. That's great. I love it. I love our staff. I'm happy. But we pay these benefits with taxpayer dollars. Now, we had a county board member who indicated that our employees are not paid well. Where are we going to get this money? The taxpayers have reached out to me and asked us to do everything we can to not raise taxes. Many of them have shared what their cost is every day. What do? They get up every day, they go to work. I've got some information on what the everyday citizen is doing, or resident is doing in Will County that goes to work and pays their taxes. What kind of benefits do they get? We have a gentleman who is a contractor. He's self-employed. He doesn't get any holidays, paid holidays, any paid sick time, or any vacation days. If he doesn't work, he doesn't get paid. But he pays taxes, whether he works or not. I have a neighbor. He's a self-employed contractor, same thing. No holidays, no sick time, no vacation time. Every day he doesn't work is another day he doesn't get paid, yet he pays his taxes. I have a constituent who's an anesthesiologist. He's contracted. He gets no paid holidays, no paid sick time, and no paid vacation days. Every day he does not work, he does not get paid. He has to make those choices, but he always pays his taxes. I have another constituent who's a receptionist. She receives 6 holidays, 0 sick days. She's got to pick those, and she's got to take those out of her 5 vacation days. And she pays taxes. I have another neighbor who's an attorney. He receives 6 holidays, 5 sick days, and depending on your employment, you receive 2 weeks vacation or 3 weeks max. Another neighbor is a network engineer. He gets 11 holidays, 0 sick time. He's got to take his sick time out of his holiday time. And he gets 15 vacation days. Another gentleman is a commercial banker, and he gets 10 holidays and 2 floating sick days. An engineer. He gets 0
Point of order.
holidays.
Can you wrap it up, your comments here? I don't know how many
This has
names
nothing
you
to do
talked
with the
but
levy.
you could wrap it up.
Yes,
She can talk as long as she wants.
Not about things that are off topic.
I could have asked them to come and speak with them,
I understand.
but
I just asked you to wrap it up.
Okay.
I just asked you to wrap it up.
So my message here to the people who are going to take this vote is, yeah, you might be able to skip Starbucks a couple days, but there are people out there that cannot afford. Everything is rising, everything. And we have a responsibility. We don't need to spend more. We can tighten our belt. Jim Richmond has poured over this budget and taken a lot of work, and he's been reasonable, and he has provided the facts. So I am asking you all to remember, at the end of the day, you do not know how people are suffering within their houses. But we do know many are. And they are reaching out to us, and they're asking us. We're all trying to make do with what we have and just cope with things that we cannot control. So I ask you all to not raise this levy and think about our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Newquist.
Yes, thank you, Madam Executive. I just want to say briefly that last year I was one of the people who compromised. I voted for a 2.5% increase versus, I think we were asking for a 4% at the time. And one of the reasons was because we had ARPA money, we had other funds, we were overfunded in reserves. But that is not the case this year. I haven't spent quite as much time as Jim has on the budget, but I have spent a lot of time on it. I asked a lot of questions, and our own staff is not really comfortable at the 2% increase. So I know I'm not going to change any minds, but for that reason, I'm very comfortable supporting the 4%. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Diaz.
Thank you. Okay, I happen to be on the Finance Committee, and under emergencies came up issues at the Will County Detention Center for issues with the hot water heater. We voted unanimously for that. We also had major issues with Sunny Hill Nursing Home, the call button system. Again, we voted unanimously for that. We then had issues with the voting machines no longer being supported. So again, we voted unanimously for that. And if it wasn't for ARPA and CARES dollars and careful planning from last year's budget, we would have been in trouble and not been able to take care of our patients at Sunny Hill Nursing Homes have hot water continue to be turned off, which would have cost us more money in the long run because it was $86,000 to keep replacing these systems. And that is a lot of money. And because we had the funds, we were able to save ourselves money this coming year. So I'm sorry, a 0% is not even close to the ballpark. I'm a no on that. Thank you.
County Board Member Mitchell?
I just wanted to make the point. Sometimes you play telephone. And I tell you something, and then it goes to the next person, and it gets completely changed from the initial message. But the fact remains that gentleman stood up here and said he had a 1,000 square foot home, and he pays $4,000 over $4,000 in taxes. I will tell you, there are states that you can go to, and you can have a 3,000 square foot home and pay $4,000 in taxes. We should be ashamed that on a 1,000 square foot home that somebody's paying $4,000 a year. We should be ashamed of that. We should be doing everything we can to make Will County an example for responsible government and actually paying attention to the taxpayer. I too have gone around a little bit this past week, and I haven't spoken to one single person. I haven't spoken to one single person that says, yes, tax me more. Yes, tax me more. And as far as the 1 cup of coffee, because it always goes to 1 cup of coffee. Back in the day, it's only the cost of a cup of coffee. Back in the day, a cup of coffee was like $1 or less than $1. Now a cup of coffee is $7 or $10, depending upon what kind of accoutrement you want in your coffee. I'm Juan Valdez over here. Lots of coffee. Coffee, coffee, coffee. That's enough. Enough. And the problem isn't that we don't have enough money. The problem is how we're handling it. That's the problem. And it can happen in any circumstance. So let's just try to work together to do the best things by all parties. We can't be Santa Claus. We can't do everything. But let's try to do some things. Some things, is that so difficult? And that's all.
County Board Member Freeman.
Good afternoon. I just want to say that the funding we're talking about today here is to provide services that our residents depend on each day. We're talking about funding our sheriff's office, our state's attorneys, our public defender, and our court system to make sure we have public safety in Will County. I hear this in our public health and safety meetings. They come and they tell us that they're going to have meetings this next year. We're talking about the funding of roads and bridges and public transportation to make sure our residents can travel safely. We hear that when we come to the public transportation meetings. Everything is costly. We're talking about the funding of health care and mental health programs. Again, attend a public health and safety meeting. There's needs and they're being asked for. When we take the time to invest in our community, it makes Will County a better place. A place where people want to live, where businesses want to locate, and that helps us grow. There's been a lot of things that have been voted on unanimously that have cost us millions of dollars. If we didn't have ARPA, we would not have been able to do those things. I think that a 0% request is nothing shy than ludicrous. Thank you.
County Board Member Costa.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat what my colleagues said here on the Democratic side, Freeman and Coleman. We have unmet needs. We have services that are not being rendered here in the county. And I understand holding the line on taxes sounds really good. Taxing to the max sounds really bad. We're not taxing to the max here. CPI is at 6.5%. We could tax up to 5%. We're asking for 4% in order to provide the day-to-day services that our community needs. And there's only so much Will County as a government can do. $20 increase on a $250,000 home in a year is not a lot of money. And I don't like hearing the misinformation that's being spread. For those who want to be, because I'm fiscally conservative too, but I'm also operationally responsible. We need to responsibly fund the services that we provide, pay people to want to work in Will County, because there's an exodus of workers leaving Will County because we're not paying enough. And if you don't want to increase taxes, please run for your school board.
County Board Member Richmond.
I just want to go back on a couple of things here, because we're not impacting salaries, we're not impacting services. All we're doing is looking at where the dollars are coming from and allocating them to appropriate fiscal year. The interest income increase we anticipate to be about $1.2 million. The difference between 4 and 2% is roughly $2.9 million. $1.2 million in additional interest income, and I'll put it right on the table, the Pace building. That building is not going to be built out by November of 2024. There's $5 million allocated for that. If we take $1.5 million away from that $5 million and make it $3.5 million, we're now $2.7 million. We're $200,000 away from that $2.9 million. Now, if there's somebody in this audience that can tell me that they're going to be able to do that build out in less than 12 months, I want to hire you, because I got some other projects that need to get. So we're not taking funds away. Also, too, is some of the things that are being brought up is, this is pertinent to just the personal property tax portion. We get grants for a lot of our other projects, and the health department's one of them. They get a significant dollar figure from grants in that. They get roughly, I believe it's about $11 million, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, from the property tax portion. We also have the motor fuel tax. We get federal funds, as well as we get money from the Army Corps of Engineers for some of these projects, and one of them is the project that Chair O'Gala mentioned too, the $600-some thousand that goes over $1 million. So trust me, I've spent a lot of time on this budget, and if this was my business, this is the way I would propose it. You know what, I take this job very seriously, and that's why I'm looking at this. I'm not saying nobody else doesn't take this job seriously, but I'm trying to run it like as if it was my business. And I've been told that you can't run government like a business. Well then what should we run it like? A government business. So that's all I have to say. I mean, I tried to put together something logical. Would I have liked to go down to zero? Absolutely. But I tried to put together something that made sense without cutting any services and giving everybody what they need. And as far as the contingency goes, we didn't touch contingency. There's still dollars in there for contingency. Every business does put in contingencies. And from what I can see, our reserves are at a very solid level. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
County Board Member Ortiz.
Thank you, County Executive. I would like to reiterate what County Board Coleman said. I think it is important. There has been a lot of lies and misinformation spread about the county tax levy and the increases. It is not going to increase $500. We do have documentation that we can show you the numbers on what it will be increased. So if somebody says it's going to increase $500, please feel free to reach out to the county executive staff or county board members so we can provide you the documentation so you can see how much your taxes are going to increase and how we got those numbers. And I also just want to say, when I ran for the seat, on funding services for the county, not cutting taxes. Although I understand others might have run on cutting taxes, that was not what I ran. So ultimately, when my constituents ask me, I'm going to tell them, yes, I voted to raise your taxes $20 for this year for the annual aggregate levy. And oh yeah, remember the 708 mental health board that you were in favor of? I also voted to support that by funding it. That's going to increase your taxes $36 if you live in a house that is worth $250,000. So now we can have all of the mental health services our constituents voted for. We can help our community health department take some weight off of their shoulders by funding the mental health board. And again, I understand some of us ran on passing the mental health board and others did not. So vote the way that you feel best represents your district. Always, for me, that looks like raising the taxes $58 this year to fully invest in our county and our community needs. Thank you.
County Board Member Revis, I think wrap us up here.
Yep, I just want to say 2 quick things. We're talking about that 500 that misinformation. I hope that misinformation isn't being attributed to members on our side of the aisle, because a lot of information gets put on Facebook, and people who consume that information sometimes misinterpret it. So that graphic that we're all talking about with that $548, you know, just an important thing to note about that, it's not like we're going around telling people, hey, your taxes are going to increase $500. To my knowledge, we're not doing that. It's just something that got out there in the ether and people misunderstood it. Secondly, we're talking about misinformation. One thing that isn't misinformation is the amount of services that this change or reducing the CPI would eliminate. We asked in Finance Committee if we would be cutting services if we went down to the 2%. The response from Rashawn was no, that services would not be cut. So this is from the staff that we keep citing over on the opposite side of the aisle that is so supposedly comfortable with the 4% or uncomfortable with going lower than 4%. So we're not cutting services, and we're also not cutting taxes. We're talking about not increasing taxes to the tune of $8 million. Cutting and not increasing are two different things. We get, because of the PTEL, we get to increase taxes, either CPI, 5% or CPI, whichever is lesser. So we could do 5% of CPI. We're not. We're taking 4%, so you're correct. We're not asking for the max. But we're also not cutting anything that was in the budget from a prior year. We're just opting not to increase the spend. There's a difference. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. County Board Member Williams.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I keep hearing about this not cutting services, and I said this at Finance, and I'll say it again. The services that we're providing are not adequate. So it's not just about providing services, it's about providing adequate services. And also, we're elected as county board members not only to cut taxes as people want to do. That's not the only thing that we're charged with. We are charged with doing what we need to do for our residents. Sometimes that means increasing taxes. I'm a taxpayer too, I'm a senior citizen, and I'm on a fixed income. And $20 for this increase and another 30 whatever for the 708 board, I think I can handle it. So if we're going to be providing services like we say we're going to provide, just because we're not cutting them, doesn't mean that they don't need to be improved. And that is part of what we're charged with too as county board.
County Board Member Mueller.
I would like to call the question.
But I think we're done anyway. So we are reminded that we are voting on a 0% levy, 0% new construction.
Previous roll, Van Dyne?
Second, Trinity.
I don't remember where I was at.
Well, it was parts in. Do you want, we want?
No, you can have a roll.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll. This is on 0-0. Village.
Yes.
Trainier.
No.
Dean Schlaven.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
No.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist.
No.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
Diaz. No. Winfrey.
No.
Coleman.
No.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
No.
Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz.
No.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller.
Nope.
Costa.
No.
O'Gala.
Yes.
Non-executive votes no. County Board Member Mueller.
I apologize, I just had my light on.
Oh, question. So we now, County Board Member Trinier.
I would like to propose the proposed 2023 levy at 4%. That we vote on that issue now.
Second. County Board, sorry. Motion by Trinier, seconded by Ortiz. Any discussion? Discussion. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. The other thing that is not being considered here for our taxpayers, and that not only includes homeowners, but that includes our businesses. Because in the end, their costs are impacted by the amount of property tax on the property that they're leasing from or that they have to purchase. In our township, our homes were reassessed. All of my neighbors pretty much got an increase in their equalized assessed value, EAV. Our home was a whopping 19% increase. We got a higher increase than anyone in my neighborhood. I haven't found one person that's even close. But that's a 19% increase. So I anticipate higher taxes, even if it was a 0-0 levy. So I'm not looking forward to my tax bill in 2024. But again, let's realize that there are other factors that have already been established, and these higher EAVs hit our taxpayer right off the bat. Thank you.
County Board Member Mueller.
Thank you. I've been on this board since 2018. There's only 5 other members who've been here longer than me who are currently sitting here. And what I'm going to say is probably going to upset some of them. In the last 10 years, we have repeatedly underfunded Will County government. Repeatedly. We are not serving the residents adequately. We were not elected to stick our heads in the sand and pretend there's no problems. We were elected to solve those problems. The things we are talking about providing folks here, we're talking about adequately funding our sheriff's department, our public defender, and our court system. That's just one department here, okay? That's our public safety in Will County. We have been losing employees in all of those departments because we have inadequately paid them for many years. They have gone to other counties and other areas where they are paid a more fair salary. This is leaving our county in a precarious situation. Yet, every year, we go through this conversation. Every year I've been here, we go through the same conversation. Every year, everybody's throwing rocks and talking about, tax to the max. Some folks put some things on social media and then they go, oh, that's not true. But then members of our board go and support those comments and like them and share everybody's phone numbers and say, you should call all the people on the board and let them know how you feel about this misinformation that we all just supported that's out here in the public now. So the way I see this, we really have 2 choices here. We can either adequately support the residents who need us the most in this county, all the folks we're worried about here, they need us the most. They're the ones who need these services the most. And I'm so tired of the embarrassment of not being able to serve them. And for our staff who has to work on this for hours, they have been putting together this budget since July. And to insinuate that they didn't give it adequate time or they didn't, ask for things that were appropriate is insulting. And I am absolutely tired of hearing this board do that. So, I will be supporting the 4% because it is about time we adequately fund the county and its services. Thank you.
County Board Member O'Gallagher.
Thank you. I did just want to state some facts. Just because you can tax up to 5% or CPI, whichever is less, doesn't mean that you should. Just because the county board has not always taxed to that max, doesn't mean we haven't funded county government. I continuously hear that we don't pay our employees enough. You heard the number of vacation holidays that our employees get. They get a minimum of 2 weeks vacation. They get sick time. They get personal time. And a lot of this stuff rolls on and they pay out at the end. In addition to that, you will always lose employees to somewhere else. Every business does, every government does, because somebody can pay better, or maybe somebody wants to live in a colder climate because they like snow or a warmer climate. Those are all facts. You're never going to get over that, and you're never going to stop somebody from moving. What we do need to understand is the CPI that the county government uses does not include energy and fuel cost increases or grocery increases. So when you want to talk about a senior citizen living in their home, and it's not going to cost them more. When they go to the grocery store, it costs more. When we put gas in the car, it costs more. Those aren't part of CPI. They're not. That's an addition to what's here in CPI. While we continue also to make the statement that everyone's taxes will go about $58 and we can all afford it because it's just a trip to Starbucks or McDonald's or wherever you go, Taco Bell, wherever everyone's going. That might be for one home. That's not for everybody's homes. The tax bill will go up accordingly across to where you live and what your multiplier is in your area. So that varies everywhere that you go. In addition to that, we need to also, I'd like to point out that our comments made about who supported last year's tax levy is supporting a fair tax levy. There were 2 Democrats that did that. They're both not here anymore. There was Rachel Ventura and Saul Gansberg. Those are the only 2. You don't believe me? Look up the votes from the meeting minutes. So everyone here is hearing mixed messages. I think people need to go out and do their research and decide which side of the aisle is being honest with that. And just because something is posted wrong out there, everyone posts something wrong in social media from time to time. But we cannot deny the fact that this board is typically split. We cannot deny the fact that unfortunately we have the county executive form of government, and the county executive splits the votes for the tie. Because you know what that does? It doesn't make us compromise at all. The Republicans support this, the Democrats support that. If the executive is a Democrat, they vote with the Democrats. If it would be a Republican, they vote with a Republican. How is that good government for the people? It's horrible government for the people because there is no compromise. I can tell you during this time, I'm the chair of the county board, and I don't know who reached out from the other side to say, hey, what can we do to make this work? I made phone calls. But like I said before, you got to ask yourself, why does the person who's the finance staff person for the county board have a different thing to say than the finance staff person from the county executive? It's where your bread is buttered.
Wow.
So I'm just going to interject here before you say I can't. Yes, I can. I would prefer not to attack any of our staff members.
I'm not attacking anybody.
I will. I'm just saying, I don't think our either of our finance chairs, yours or ours, want to be brought in the mix. They're doing a job. Yeah, I mean, you just said it where their bread is buttered. One works for you, one works for the county. I'd like to think that they're both.
I wasn't referring to them on that statement. I was referring to the elected officials in the room where their bread is buttered, not the staff. I understand where the finance person works for the county board, and I understand where the finance person works for your department. I know both of them. I like them both.
I just want to make sure
I wasn't making that statement towards our staff. Thank you for making it clear. Thank you.
County Board Member Butler.
Thank you. So, you know, it is a trying time for most people. You know, we have a lot of inflation and an uncertain future. So, of course, as fiscal conservatives and having a lot of people that we represent, they want lower taxes, and I get it. But at the same time, we do have services that need to be taken care of. So I would move to amend the motion to 2.5%.
Second.
Yeah, we can do a lot of them. So now we have an amendment. We have a motion to move it to 2.5 and a second by Ogala. So do me a favor, you're going to put them off, or is there
Previous roll.
Second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. I don't know. That was for 2.5. So we're moving on. Now we're going back to the original with county board member Mayor with the original resolution. So we're going to continue discussion with that. We have we have about 5 or 6 more. Connie Moore Diaz.